And welcome into the Runners Recap with head coach Rod Barnes. We are entering episode 17.
17.
Whew, how does it feel?
Feels good.
Always feels good,
I'm
but
getting used to it now.
Yeah, but what maybe doesn't feel so good this week is you guys are coming off a very tough loss at home. The first home loss of the season to GCU,
Yes.
and with that obviously comes a little slip in the WAC standings.
Yes. If
If you can tell me, Coach, obviously there's things we can point out to, but from your perspective, what were some of the things maybe that you guys did well that you can take on moving forward?
Well, I thought, defensively, I thought we did a really good job of making them kind of uncomfortable from switching to zone to man. I thought we got some key turnovers at key times. I thought offensively in the first half, I thought what we call on the second side of the floor, I thought we moved the basketball and got some shots on the backside, and I thought that was good for us. I didn't think we was as patient in the second half, and I thought it cost us.
Yeah, and so to bring up the second half, obviously you just couldn't match up with what GCU was doing shooting-wise, and then also sending GCU to the foul line. It felt like maybe a little bit too many times. If you can tell me, from your perspective, what was the thing that was maybe the most costly for you in that second half?
I thought really probably we went through a stretch there where we got stops. I think it was around the 10 minutes mark. We got like 3 or 4 stops, and we didn't convert any of them. And then they do what they normally do. They got on a run. So they went on like an 8-0 run, which ended up putting us in a very tough position. They're a very experienced team. They're well coached. And when you get behind, they try to make you play. They try to take advantage of your team. And I thought late, I thought they really put the ball in their hands, into Johnson's hands. And a little bit with Milstead, and those guys are really aggressive with the ball. And we had gotten, in the bonus, they had gotten in the bonus, and they got to the free throw line a little bit too much for us, which kept them in a position that they didn't have to make a shot every time down. If they missed a couple of shots, they would drive hard, and we would foul them. So they used a good strategy, but I thought that all started because we had, again, like 4 straight consecutive stops, and we didn't get anything out of them. We got shots, we got the rebound, we got opportunities for stickbacks, but we didn't get any points out of it. And I think our guys got a little discouraged after that.
And so this one I'm sure stings. Obviously, first home loss of the season, that's not a good feeling. And then also with that, like I said, it kind of switches up the standings there because now GCU and New Mexico State take that top spot together, tied right now.
Right.
So with your players, how do you get their mind off of that and move forward into the next week with more home games and let them say, hey, that's now in the past, we got to keep moving forward? What's been the motivational speech, as we would say this week?
Well, really, we talked about it before the game. It's too early in the season to make one game, some of everything. We talked to our team even before the game. We said, hopefully we win the game. If we win the game, we've got to realize it's just a midway point. We've got a lot of basketball. If we lose the game, we've got to take that same approach because there's a lot of basketball left. So we haven't had to talk so much with our team of probably getting them up. Like you said, we were disappointed. It was a sting, but we've always talked about, playing our best basketball at the end of the year. I thought we met a really good team. I thought we played, if it 1 to 10, I thought it was probably 7.5. So we're getting closer to playing 40 minutes the way we would like to. The thing that happened to us again, I thought there was a 3 or 4 minute where we didn't score. We defended pretty well. And on the back end of that 3 or 4 minutes, they shot the ball really well and was able to give them the lead. So we've really basically been talking about, we've got New Mexico State. Last week, we didn't talk a whole lot about first place. We won't talk about it this week. Because again, I think if we keep our focus on getting better, then when it comes March, we'll be prepared for the tournament. If we're still in the hunt to win the regular season, if we're playing better, then we'll give ourselves a chance to do that. But it's just too early to put everything that you've worked for on the line through the preseason and the non-conference into one game or 1 week. Obviously, we got a big game this Thursday and another one this Saturday. I think the biggest disappointment for our team was we lost at home. I think that was probably the thing that we really having to get over. That it's the first time this year that after the game at home that we went home with kind of a frown on our face. So.
Yeah, I can imagine. No, I can imagine. And I know that the energy of the crowd was great, so that's always kind of adds to the bummer when it doesn't turn out your way. But so you're ignoring the outside noise this week, because as you mentioned, New Mexico State, who's now sitting at the top, and you guys have faced them before. They were your only loss heading into this last game in conference play. So what is the focus then in the gym? You're ignoring the outside noise, you're getting to work. What have you guys been really trying to work on during practices to get ready for this one?
Really try to gain a sense of consistency, trying to figure out. I thought as I talked to our players about when we had that 3 or 4 possessions, I think that's a great opportunity in that point in the game to try to get to the free throw line, to try to get points for us. And we didn't do that. We continued to shoot jump shots at that point. And, you know, as I told them, it's a learning experience for us because, again, it's the first time we've been at home this year, kind of been in a situation where we're fighting from behind that late in the game. And you just got to kind of use a different approach. You can't always just go to the three-pointer or to a jump shot. In that situation against a team like that, you got to get someone to draw a foul, get to the free throw line. So we've talked about that. And then we also talked about, I thought in the first half we had some opportunities to maybe get a more comfortable lead. You know, when we went back and talked to our player, that was like 17 points that we had an opportunity, whether it was a layup, whether it was a free throw, whether it was an easy shot that we missed or we didn't capitalize on. That even if we get half of those and it's 8 points instead of 17 or somewhere in that level, we're probably up by 3 or 4 instead of, you know, the score being what it was at halftime.
Yeah, and so with the Aggies at home this week, you guys played a roughly close game with them last week, but they have only gotten better. They're kind of hitting their stride, which I'm sure would be a nice rebound for you guys to kind of be a stall in that stride that they've hit. But Terrell Brown, he's averaging 12 points a game, so I'm sure that's someone that you guys are looking at. But also, where do you think, though, for this one, is it any more difficult to find momentum to start a game after what kind of sucks the energy and like the, I guess I would say the happiness and the joy of playing at home when you go after a loss like that? Or what's the key?
I think the important, and you just mentioned it, you want to get off to a good start. Just because the last time you were on the court it was a down or leaving the floor, it wasn't a situation where we had to hit a 3, so we didn't really, it wasn't a close game, you know, at the end. So you really want to get off to a good start and just to get your guys with their confidence up. So whether we having to run certain plays or call timeout, we've got to get off to a good start in the beginning. And I think if we do that, because we played them so well at their place, I think it'll give our guys confidence that we can win the game. But as you mentioned, you know, they're playing. When you start talking about kind of hitting your stride, I think they are hitting their stride right now, and they're playing really well. And, you know, we're going to have to play a great game. But I'm confident in our guys. You know, I just think, you know, some of the things the mistakes that we made the other night, this team has been a team that once something happens or we talk about it or discuss it, they normally fix it. So we'll get a chance to, as we've had study the film on them, realize in their game what we didn't do right, do wrong. You mentioned Terrell Brown. He's their leading scorer. We left him open. He got just point-blank shots when we're at their place. That can't happen here on Thursday night.
Yep. Okay. So we know Keenan Brown. That's going to be for the first game this week on Thursday. Then on the weekend, you guys will get another rematch as well with Rio Grande Valley, a team that you were able to win on the road. And those road wins always feel so good, especially at this point in the season. So seeing them at home here, what are you looking forward to from this matchup and maybe some takeaways from beating them on the road?
Well, I think it's important. I think one of the things, our team was motivated when we went to their place simply because last year they beat us at home. And then we went to their place, they beat us at the buzzer. So I think we've really got to really think and realize that they're going to come here trying as far as a revenge game for them because we beat them at their own place. But I think with our team, we got to take care of the basketball. I think they're the type of team like to turn you over as far as they like to press you. So we got to do a great job of taking care of the basketball. Hopefully we won against New Mexico State and we'll go into the game with a little momentum. But I would expect them to come in here and really try to give us a tough game.
And then after this week, Coach, how good would you feel with 2 wins this week moving forward?
I would feel great. I mean, I told our players, we just want to stay in the hunt. When you're a team and, we've had success. We've won the regular season. We won the conference tournament. So we've played and had success 2 out of the last 3 years. And this is a new team. This is a younger team. A lot of those guys have graduated. I keep telling them, just put yourself in a position. Give yourself that later on, it's 3 games to go and you need to win 2, even though we'll be on the road. Give yourself an opportunity. But more importantly, just make sure we get better. We've got to really work every day to get better. And I think we have the depth. I think we're good enough, proven by how we played Grand Canyon and New Mexico State the first time, that we're good enough if we play well enough to win in Vegas, and that's when I'd really be happy.
Yeah, I know. It's always in the back of the mind, but of course, 1 game, 1 week at a time. We understand that.
Right.
So we know the game plan then for this week. Looking forward to see what happens. And as you guys know, this team is fun to watch, so you got to get there for their home games to see things. The WAC standings keep shaking up every week, so it's a fun conference to watch with men's basketball, that's for sure.
Well, thank you.
All right, Coach. Yes. So, want to take a deep breath?
Yes, I'm excited about this time.
Yeah. You always get a little bit nervous.
I get a little bit nervous. I do.
I know, and I haven't been calling it what we originally called it, the breakdown with Barnes. That kind of means that you're in the driver's seat, not the hot seat.
Yes. Well, it's hot over here.
it's always a little hot, but hey, it's cool outside, so we're bringing the heat inside, putting you in the hot seat.
I am ready.
I don't know if I am. I will be honest. I haven't prepared as much as I usually do for this. I like to dig deep, so this one's just gonna come off the top of the head. Right. So when we look at those types of games that we were just talking about, taking a loss to GCU and how that feels, what is, I guess, important in terms of motivation from that? What do you see as, what's the right mindset to have for any team to move forward from a loss like that in the middle of the season?
Well, you think the team, I mean, you're playing a first place team. You play them at home. You talk about, you go in at halftime. We have an opportunity there, which is a very closely played game. But then you can take away, as I mentioned, it's probably 17 points here or there that either we didn't convert on or we gave up that we shouldn't give up. And so you tell your team, it's encouraging because they're a first place team. They beat us, but they're a team also that has gone on the road and played well. Until they got here, they were just blowing people out. So obviously they were, playing really well. And it's an opportunity for us to feel like we didn't play as well. When you give your best, when you played your best game and then that wasn't enough, that makes it tough. Even though you feel good about yourself, you realize, we can't beat those guys. Well, that wasn't the case. We feel like we can really compete against them. We feel like we can beat them, even though we didn't the other night. So you just talk about that. You also talk about, as we go into the New Mexico State game, we were up at halftime at New Mexico State at their place with their crowd and lost it in the second half. So you talk about getting that lead in the first half here and closing. And if we do that, we'll be in a position that still being a half game out, but then they have to play each other. So we might be in first place, tied again by the end of the weekend. So you just try to use those kind of things. But most of all, just trying to tell our guys, in which a lot of them had opportunities. We went to the free throw line. Jarkel missed a free throw, could have put us up a little bit further. Greg Lee missed a layup, early in the first half. And you go through those things and say, guys, those are plays that we make every day. And if we make those plays, we'll be successful.
Yeah, so looking for the groove again, that is for sure.
Yes.
So what have you seen as kind of driven more success for a team? The chip on the shoulder mid-season where it's like, okay, now we're down and we need to get back up, or the other end where you're at the top and there's a target on their back? What's a better motivation, do you think, for a team overall?
I think the chip on the shoulder, because I think the pressure necessarily is on you to win. So you take the approach that we're going to prove ourselves. When the target's on your back, even if you're playing well, you're getting everyone's best shot. I felt that way until, probably the GCU game. I felt like the games we played before that, because we were in first place, playing first place, I thought we had got everyone's best shot. Maybe not New Mexico State. I didn't think we got their best shot. I think we're going to get their best shot this Thursday. So I like the chip on the shoulder. I like to be the underdog. I like to be the one to prove everybody wrong. And I think players, they thrive in those moments better than they do when that target's on your back, because you kind of feel like you got a lot to lose.
Yeah, no doubt. So that's motivation right there. So we are talking on National Signing Day. So with that comes, talks of recruiting always, and we've gotten a little bit into that and how that is a process.
It is.
And I've seen you at a couple high school games. So I just want to know for you, in terms of just recruiting in general, what is the ultimate challenge with trying to bring the best talent to CSUB?
Well, it's trying to overcome some of the perceptions that players or coaches may have just about being here. Once we get student athletes on our campus, once we get them to Bakersfield, we have a high success rate. What happens to us is trying to convince players or their families or students that this is a great place to be, because whether they look and say, hey, they're in the middle of the valley, or whether there's been some preconceived thoughts or ideas about Bakersfield, or whether they're concerned about the WAC, or just the newness of we're just very young as a Division I program. The more questions that I ask that parents and players have concern about, sometimes it's harder to get them, because really they probably have some preconceived idea of this may be a problem or this may be an issue. So you're not necessarily recruiting in a sense. You're trying to overcome some stigma that might be. And again, that could be several things. It could be, again, we fought that early on of what conference are you in? Are you going to a conference? Then we got in a conference, then it's, okay, are you Division I? Or, because we have a bunch of Cal State schools, so which ones are you to? Well, there's how big is Bakersfield? Where is Bakersfield? And so there's a lot of things that you have to, that goes into it. And again, the sooner we can get guys or their parents here on campus, again, we've had a great success rate. It's just we're still in the process of recruiting, where we hope to get to the process where we're selecting.
Right.
And that is hard work and winning a lot of games and getting a lot of exposure when you start selecting. But we're in a better place than where we were when I got here. We're even in a better place than where we were 2 or 3 years ago because of the success that we've had. And also a lot of people have the interest because we played some really good teams. We've got a lot of exposure. So it's still a process, but we feel good about where we are.
Yeah, WAC basketball ain't bad. And this man right here, I'm pretty sure that's a selling point too. I know you won't say that, but I'm sure that coaches or the kids and families, they get to meet you, and that's a big point too. Yeah, no problem. See, the hot seat's not so hot, Coach.
It's not.
I'm trying to loosen it up.
Yes, that's all right.
All right, well, to now get to more of a national talk right now, of course, we just had the Super Bowl take place. And the Patriots, they won yet again. But I was thinking that you were not only stoked for Tom Brady, but that it was a defensive game. What were your thoughts on this game and the fact that defense truly does win championships?
Well, I have friends and family and people and even critics that I'm always talking about defense wins. Somehow there's going to be a defensive play or there's something that's going to happen, or the scheme of the defense is going to be the difference. I thought both teams played really well on the defensive side. I thought the Patriots, because of their experience, because of Brady's been there, because of a lot of his receivers being in that position, I thought they figured out a way to get 7 points on the board. I thought the Rams were really good on defense. I thought they struggled some offensively. Some of that because I just think, my personal opinion, that Gurley didn't get the ball as much.
Yes.
But that's what all the critics were saying.
Yeah, that was a big talking point.
That's a big talking point. But I think a lot just had to do with the scheme of what the Patriots were doing. And again, I thought they had an experienced enough offensive team that they didn't panic. They didn't try to do nothing.
Right.
They just said, hey, if this is going to be 6-3, we're okay with it. Well, maybe a young and inexperienced team would have took some chances and then cost them. They didn't. They waited to the right opportunity and they, converted on that and was successful on it. So I have mixed emotions because I have been a Brady's fan. I'm not necessarily a Patriots fan, but I really was hoping that the Rams could pull it out.
I know.
They didn't, but.
I know. Kind of shocking, right?
I had my own issues that I had to deal with during that time. So being that we were prepared for GCU and getting ready and hopefully, all of that kind of stuff, last few days, I've just been concerned with hopefully putting ourselves in a position that we could pay for a championship.
Yeah, coaches, you guys can't enjoy other games.
Not during this time of year.
I know, that's too bad. But yeah, let me tell you, it was a bit of a snooze fest.
Okay.
Till the fourth quarter, as you know. But hey, Julian Edelman, he got the MVP.
Yes.
Deservedly so, but at the same time, they should have given it to the entire defense. I was I gotta say that it's got to go to after a game like that. It's got to go to the defensive player or the whole defensive side of the ball.
I agree with you.
I was shocked by that.
Yes.
All right, Coach, we're gonna end on hopefully a fun point to talk with you about the NBA.
Yes.
Yes. So New Orleans Pelicans, Anthony Davis, their superstar. A lot of controversy right now as LeBron and the Lakers are trying to grab him, but the Pelicans are not biting as they're probably, I would say, waiting for better offers down the road, maybe the Celtics. But opinions. What are your opinions on Anthony Davis? Where do you think should be his landing spot as he requested a trade out of New Orleans?
Oh, wow, that's tough. Obviously, I have been a Laker fan, so I would hopefully that they could pull off the deal, but it's tough. I mean, it's so much of the business, to be right in the middle of the season and have both teams with players that may be traded. I just wish there was some other way that they could kind of deal with this and maybe get rid of the trade deadlines this late in the season, because I think both teams are in limbo, and there's players and the coaches, but that's their business. They're used to it. It would drive me psycho. I would be on the edge of like, what is going on here?
Another distraction in the season.
I have. You got one of the best power forwards or centers in the NBA, and then you're a team that has the best player, I believe, in the NBA, and he's nearing not being the best player anymore because there's some other players coming. Yeah. So you want to win. You want to win, and you want to win now because LeBron is probably going to do a few more years, but probably in his prime. We're probably in the middle, going to the end of that right now. Right. And you want to get him a superstar. So I just don't like the business of it, because chemistry, teamwork, loyalty, all of that kind of stuff to me means a lot. And especially, again, in the middle of the season. So I'm not sure that it's going to happen. If I'm predicting, I think they're going to let it pass the Pelicans, and they'll get back on the market at the end of the year, because I think they want to try to say, as you mentioned, they want to deal with some other, I think, future all-star players, and I'm not sure how many of those that the Lakers can offer right now.
I know, a lot of controversy, always.
Yes,
it
yes,
always feels like that. In
is.
all the pro leagues, it's like there's
Right.
just not a day goes by where there's not something
Something's
happening.
going on, yeah.
So we'll stick to the college sports.
I'm telling you, this is the place I love. I mean, I do know that I'm going to have all our players to the end of the year, and
Hey.
that's you can focus on that and stay with that, and
Yeah.
don't want to be offering and asking me for 4 or 5 of my players for one player. So
Yeah,
I
no.
kind of like what we do.
Yeah, and I love the loyalty. I'm with you on
Yes.
that too. Loyalty means a lot, and you
Yes.
obviously see that in college. There's controversy there
Sometimes.
too.
It is.
But we'll stay
Yes.
loyal to the runner's recap and
That's
doing
it.
this once a week, right?
Yes, 17.
17.
Okay.
We're making it through.
We're on our way to 18.
All right, Coach, thanks so much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
And as always, thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next week for Runner's Recap.